Hello and welcome. My name is Leslie Harrington. I'm one of YogaFit Senior Master Trainers, here to take you through day 3, which is a Kapha balancing practice. So for today, a few of the things that we could use around ourselves is, of course, a mat, a block, or two. Also, if you'd like to play any fun upbeat music, that would be helpful and beneficial. We have some essential oils for our practice that will help with lifting the heaviness and the coolness, but also to feel lighter and energized. We have frankincense, very balancing. So if you happen to have that one, you can bring that along. If you happen to have myrrh, you can also put that together with frankincense, and that is an Ayurvedic combination called gugalu. So if you have those two, or if you were with us for the day 1 with the amber, you can use the amber also for this because while it works for Vata, it also works well with Kapha because of the coolness, so helping to balance that and elevate. So you can choose which one you'd like to have for that. Today's practice will be warming, we will be energizing, we'll be releasing. So you'll see some of those throughout the practice for our postures. Now, of course, we get to move at our own pace and find what works for us balance-wise, what's appropriate. So to get started today, let's find our way to hero's pose. So coming to Virasana on our shins. Now remember, we can always place a block or a bolster underneath us here if this is not comfortable. So taking the block, and you can use it long ways underneath the hip bones or stack 2 together to take pressure off of the knees. Or if you would like, easy seated pose, Sukhasana is a great way to get started. We'll be starting with a way to be upright, taking our hands to our thighs, palms facing up, elbows by our sides, sitting very nice and tall, whether we're in Virasana or in Sukhasana. We can close our eyes or gaze softly forward. Let's find a big, beautiful breath in and a big, beautiful breath out. Now transitioning to an inhale through the nose. Belly expands, ribcage expands, chest lifts and broadens. And then as we exhale, we reverse that process from our chest to our ribs to our belly. We'll just take a few breaths here to settle in, finding our space for our practice today. Noticing what's going on within the body. And it's not just about what's going on within the body, but also the mind. So here in our practice, we can release heaviness or lethargy within our body or within our mind space. With each breath, we can think of ourselves as a beautiful balloon, inhaling, full of energy and lightness and possibility. And then exhaling, just settling. Any of those thoughts, we can let them float away, like the balloon released, light into the air. Inhaling and expanding, filling the body like a balloon. And then exhaling, as we release, let go. Imagining that balloon drifting away on a beautiful, warm, sunny day. One more breath here. And we'll start into some right nostril breath. So some Surya Beta. So we'll take our right hand and placing the pointer and the middle finger at the brow center, we close off the left nostril with our ring and our pinky. We inhale through the right, closing off the right and exhaling through the left. as this is our solar breath, we are focusing on just inhaling through the right. So closing off the left when we're ready, inhaling through the right, closing off the right with our thumb, opening the left and exhaling. Let's do that a few more times at our own pace. Inhaling in through the right, closing off the right and exhaling through the left. As we continue to flow in this manner, inhaling through the right when we're ready, closing off the right and opening the left and exhaling. This helps to warm the body, activating the solar side of the body. If we're taking care of any allergies or sinus issues or anything like that, feel free to just breathe in through both nostrils, or if we need to in any way that feels best, in and out. We can always adjust our hands. If our fingers at our brow center makes us feel a little closed in or surrounded, we can always take those two fingers, the middle and the pointer, to the base of the thumb. And then just kind of like our hands going back and forth, rocking side to side. Finishing off this last round of Surya Beta, our solar breath. And then relaxing the hands as we're ready. So here we're in a pose of strength in our Virasana, or whether we're in Sukhasana, easy seated pose. With that long spine, taking a few more breaths here. Just noticing if a little more activated, or a little more heated, or a little more brighter through the mind. We get to experience some illumination, this radiant flame, as we go through our practice, this tejas. Maybe the spark in our mind or in our heart. You can think of it like a candle flame. The tejas would be this burning of this flame, this illumination. Now we'll be having the option to come into our Bhastrika. That is our bellows breath. This can be very warming, so this is uncomfortable at any time. Go back to our regular breath. So what it looks like with our belly is we will go out with our belly on an inhale, forcefully, and then return, exhale, the belly comes in. Think of like a bellows stoking that fire, like that flame that I just mentioned about tejas. We're creating that. Now in the candle, when we think about the candle and we think about maybe the wax or like a ghee lamp, the ghee or the wax within a candle is ojas, right? That is this lustrous juiciness, the nectar, if you will, of the candle flame that we have within ourselves. And then we're looking for this tejas to make this radiant light, that actual flame. And we use our pranayama, our prana, to increase our vital energy. So we need these winds to blow to help the candle flicker nice and strong. So we'll use this bellows breath where we stoke our natural fires, right? This bellows that stokes the flame. We'll do that with our belly. So at first, let's go ahead and just practice a few times. As we inhale, the belly expands out, forcefully out as we breathe in. And then as we breathe out, we exhale and bring the belly back in. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale and exhale. Through the nose, inhale and exhale. Last one as we practice. Inhale and exhale. Wonderful. Now that we have that down, we can either continue with our hands on our belly if that helps to activate it, or I'll be guiding you through this option, just hands on our lap. Okay? We'll go through this a few times and I'll let you know. At any time, if you feel too stoked, too on fire, or too heated, we can just return to our natural breath and rejoin when we're comfortable. When we're ready, inhale, exhale, 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 inhale, exhale. Two more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and release. Now, if you might feel a little bit lighter and a little bit warmer, or if you feel lightheaded at all, it's okay too. Just maybe slowing down the inhale and the exhale on this next round. We'll do it one more time. Feel that inhale and that exhale. And then as we're ready, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Completing at that pace, just continuing. Three, two, and one. An easy breath here. Just noticing how we're feeling or if our fires are stoked a little more. Some lightness maybe to the body and to the mind. And then as we're ready, let's go ahead and find our way to all fours. Taking ourselves off of the block. Walking, come on forward. Finding all fours. We'll start to find some cat and cow as we round our back toward the sky, exhaling. And then as we switch to the opposite, inhale, gazing with the heart center forward, tailbone toward the sky. Let's move and flow a few more times. Countering any heaviness or lethargy. As we keep that energy flowing, we might start to feel as the warmth of the spine muscles, the muscles that support the spine, start to get warmed as we move and flow here. You can return to that beautiful balloon image on a warm, sunny day. Imagine what color our balloons would be floating through the sky. Maybe we harness the energy of the sun, the color of yellow and orange mixed together, like the rays of the sun extending. You can think of our body, especially the center column of the body, as that light floating bouquet of balloons. Let's do one more round in each direction. As we come to neutral, sink it back into child's pose, hands underneath our forehead. When we're ready, slowly returning back to all fours. We'll try a round of Kapalabhati here. That's skull shining or breath of fire. So it's easy to find in our all fours. So we let the belly drop without sinking through the back. And that's just gonna have our natural, it's like our bellows breath where we were going in and out, but instead of forcefully taking the belly out, we're just letting it naturally fall, focusing on the exhalation. So here we'll just do a round of 5 to practice for the first round. So take an inhale to an exhale. So inhale and exhale, then inhaling 3/4 of the way, and then exhale, 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 and release. So we're just focusing on snapping the belly in as opposed to going in and out. Now we'll try that for a little bit longer on this time. So free breath, a free inhale and exhale. Remember, if we're coming into the wrist too much, we can always find fist for wrist, palms facing each other, micro bend into those elbows. Gazing at the mat between our hands. And then inhaling 3/4 of the way. Exhale, 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 exhale. Continuing the quick exhalation, snapping in the belly. Almost like a panting of the dog out through the nose. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Free breath here and sink it back into child's pose. Take our time here. And then we'll come back up for one more round. So coming into all fours once again. We'll try the Kapalabhati. If at any time it's too much or we lose the rhythm, that's fine. Just return when we're ready. We can always sink it to child's pose too. So a free inhale to an exhale here. Inhaling 3/4 of the way. And exhale, 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 exhale. Continue. Quick snapping in of the belly. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale into child's pose here. So sink it back. Let's make our way to downward facing dog, extending those hands out, starfishing the fingers, curling the toes under, lifting the hips toward the sky, alternating our heel presses here. Find some movement, play, move, feel the lightness of the hips reaching toward the sky. Feeling the brightness in the mind as we find inhale and exhale. The aliveness in our breath, helping that prana, that vital energy within the body, flow and move easily in all directions. Sinking into both heels, we draw the hips back. And then we can gaze forward at those thumbs. We can hop, step, or float lightly forward to a forward fold. And then inhale, lift it on up to the sky. And then hands at heart center, exhaling, coming here into mountain. Feeling as if we could be stretched between the sky and the earth. Let's inhale, reach it up overhead, exhale to a forward fold. Hands can be on the shins or on the earth. Bend those knees a little, outer glutes engage. Inhale, rise it to the sky. Let's take our hands to heart center. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach it on up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, returning to the sky. Hands to heart center. Last one, inhale, reach it up. Exhale, forward folding. Inhale, lifting it up. Finding hands at heart center. Maybe we start to set our intention here for our practice, whether it's staying with our breath or just finding ease as we flow through our practice today. Let's inhale, take both hands overhead, side lateral flexion. One hand reaches to the sky, the other hand reaches down toward the earth or hand on hip. We either gaze up or gaze down. And let's switch and flow. Inhale, reaching it up. And exhale, switching. At our own pace, whenever we find the inhalation, think of the lifting and reaching and lengthening and opening. Imagine the expanse of a beautiful sunny day, the sky, all the surroundings. And then let's find our chest expansion, reaching those hands back, lifting the chest toward the sky, and then slowly hinging from our hips. Hands can reach up toward the sky, and then releasing the arms toward the earth, bending those knees. Inhale, coming on up. Let's find chair as we exhale. Inhale, reach it on up. And exhaling, forward folding. Let the head be heavy, not at side to side. Come back to center. Inhale, rising to the sky. And hands to heart center as we step back on our mats or open up our feet nice and wide into our moonflowers and sunflowers. Working to build some heat within the body, warming the body, getting us ready for our practice today. So as we take the toes out to the corner edges of the mat, or just whichever direction the knees kind of naturally go towards. The knees should be pointing kind of toward the two middle toes. We go wider than our hips so that when we do sink down, the knees are not going to be past those ankles. So let's inhale, reach it up. Moonflower, exhaling, elbows by our sides. Let's do that a few times. Inhale, rise it on up. And exhale. Inhale, lengthening. Exhaling, sinking down. Let's find that ujjayi breath, that inhale and that exhale. A little hollowing out or closing off the back of that throat so we hear the sound of our breath to help warm the body. Let's find two more here. Turning it into sunflower, thumb to thumb, pinky to pinky. We hinge from our hips, circle the hands around. Maybe we start to readjust those legs to be open a little wider if that's comfortable for us as we start to warm up a little more through those hips. Remember, we can always take care of ourselves. If we're taking care of a shoulder, we can always have hands at heart center, or we can have hands on those thighs. Imagining that sun right here in our hands. The radiant energy that it gives off, providing us like we're solar powered. Last two. Then we'll find our way to flowing sun. Inhale, hands overhead. Exhale, sinking down. Inhale, come on up. And exhale. Feeling grounded through our feet, but feeling light through the body. Last one, we come into our sun and hold here. Shoulders back, palms toward the sky, lifting the heart center. With the option here to hold, we can always come out at any time by trying to maybe work in towards staying here for a moment and finding Kapalabhati. So we did it on all fours. We'll try it again here. As we inhale, expand the belly. As we exhale, we draw it back in. But then we'll just turn it into a natural exhalation of snapping the belly back in. When we're ready, inhale, exhale, 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 exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, inhale, reach it up. And exhale, holding back into sun. One more round. When we're ready, inhale to exhale. Inhale 3/4 of the way. Exhale, 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 exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, reach it up. And releasing. We're stepping back to the top of our mats. We'll move through a little bit of standing cat-cow. So inhale, take our hands overhead. Exhaling, hands to those thighs. Rounding the back toward the sky. And then switching to the opposite. Find some energy in this movement. During our practice, a Kapha balancing practice will help us with any water retention or moving a stagnant lymph system, building some heat and getting lots of nice energy flowing. Last round. And then inhale, reach it up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Nod it a little side to side with our hips or head back and forth. Yesing to our opportunities in our practice today. Balancing our rest with our work, knowing that work feels good for us. Let's bend those knees. Inhale, rise it to the sky. And taking our hands at heart center. We'll flow through some sun salutations, finding what options work for us. I'll be offering lots of options. Let's inhale, reach it up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Right leg steps back to a kneeling lunge. Inhaling, taking arms overhead, lifting skyward. Exhaling, child's pose with extended arms. Inhale, lift it forward to a kneeling or full plank. Shoulders past our wrist. Exhale to our hover. Sink those hips, cobra. Lifting the heart center. And then releasing, let's press back into our child's pose. Right leg steps through and forward. We can always grab that ankle and bring it forward. And then we can always remain with our hands on the earth or sweep them overhead, lifting skyward. As we release, we'll step it forward to a forward fold. Bending those knees a little, inhale, rise it to the sky. And chair, exhaling, circle, sweeping those arms. Inhale, return to the sky. Exhale, forward folding. Left leg steps back to a kneeling lunge. We curl the back toes, staying here or taking hands to thighs or hands reaching overhead to the sky. Exhaling. Stepping back into our child's pose. Coming forward to a kneeling plank, shoulders past our wrists. Exhale to our hover, lowering, sink the hips for our cobra. Release. We press it back into child's pose. Left leg steps through and forward into our kneeling lunge. We can grab that ankle at any time. Bring it forward. You take those hands overhead. Squeezing the rear glute to open up the front of the hip flexor. Exhaling. Step it on forward. Inhale, rising to the sky. Chair as we exhale, circle sweep. We're going to add on some options. We get to choose those or stay with the version we were just doing. Forward fold. Right leg steps back into a lunge, kneeling or lifted. Inhaling, taking arms overhead, reaching toward the sky. Exhaling, down dog or child's pose. Inhaling forward to our plank of choice. Exhale to our hover. Upward facing dog or cobra. Upward facing dog, everything's off of the earth. Micro bend in our elbows. Use that core to draw us back. Right leg steps through and forward into that lunge. Kneeling or lifted, hands reaching overhead. Releasing, stepping it forward, forward fold. Inhale up to the sky. Let's find our chair. Exhaling. You can also have hands on thighs or hands on earth or hands at heart center. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, forward fold. Left leg steps back into a kneeling or lifted lunge. Inhale, lift it up toward the sky. Think of that air as we move. Exhale. Downward facing dog or child's pose. We can come forward to our plank of choice. Exhale to our crocodile, upward facing dog or cobra, and back to our downward facing dog. Left leg comes through and forward into our lunge of choice. Inhale, rise it on up. Releasing, let's step it forward. Inhale up and to our chair. Circle sweep those arms. 2 more rounds at our own pace or on my cue. Forward fold. Right leg steps back into our lunge. Inhaling, taking arms sweeping up toward the sky. Exhaling, down dog. Coming forward to our plank, shoulders past our wrist to our crocodile. Upward facing dog, and back to our downward facing dog. Right leg steps through and forward. Lifting skyward with those arms, but shoulders relaxed. Coming forward, stepping forward. Inhale, lifting up. And chair as we exhale. Last round. Heart rate might be lifting. Just finding our breath. Left leg steps back, kneeling or lifted lunge. Inhale, rising to the sky with those arms, opening up. Exhaling. Down dog or child's pose. Lifting forward to our plank of choice. Exhale to our hover. Upward facing dog or cobra. And back to down facing dog. Left leg comes through and forward. We can always help that leg come through and forward. And then let's find our way to a forward fold. Inhale, lifting on up. And chair as we exhale. Let's find chair 2 more times. Inhale, lifting. And exhale, sinking. Last one. With those hands reaching forward or skyward or even at heart center, we're lifting for balance option so that we can find lightness in the body. Let's lift those heels. Remember the option to stay with our heels on the ground, but we should be nice and warm. We feel that tejas, the heat, that illumination of that candle flame within us. Light and bright and radiant. As we sink into those heels, inhale, reach it on up to the sky. Exhale, forward folding. That head nod side to side. Let the head be heavy. Feel the lightness within the body. Then as we're ready, we'll step it back 4, downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, let's think of lengthening. Thinking of extension. From wrist to hips, hips toward heels. While we are strong, we balance that strength with lightness, possibilities, expansion, openness. Right leg lifts towards the sky. We hold here. We'll find that right knee to the outside of that right elbow, coming forward into plank. And then press it back. 3-legged dog. Center. We come forward into plank, take the right knee to the middle of the chest. Last one, we're going to cross it over. So it's going to be a twisting plank. We come over with that knee to the opposite elbow. And then back. Warrior 1. So we take the right leg through and forward. Back heel to the earth. Hands to those thighs. Build it up slowly. And then as we're ready, inhale, hands overhead. And finding goalpost arms, lifting the chest. Squeezing those shoulder blades back. Holding here. Let's take it to our humble warrior. So we take the chest toward the thigh. The hands reach out and back, so palms are facing down. It's like think of an airplane with our upper body. Gazing at that front toe. Standing splits, we take the hands to the earth, lifting the back leg toward the sky. Knee to knee flow. We touch our knees toward each other and returning them to the sky 2 more times. Exhale and inhale. Last one. As we hold here, the option to lift the heel on that front leg. So we're coming to the ball of the foot. Imagine ourselves floating. And then slowly release back to our warrior one. Inhaling, hands reaching overhead. And downward facing dog. We step it back. And the thought process is we can find our way to a flow, kneeling or lifted, 1, 2, or 3 times. The choice is ours. And then just balancing work and rest. So let's come forward when we're ready to a plank of our choice. Exhale to our hover, upward facing dog or cobra, and back to our downward facing dog. Remember, we can choose to continue to flow. We can choose to stay here in down dog. We can always rest as we need. So go as we need. As we inhale, lift forward to our plank. We can come to our knees if we'd like. Exhale, crocodile, cobra, or upward facing dog. And then back to our downward facing dog. We could stay here, child's pose, or take another flow. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, crocodile, upward facing dog or cobra. And then press it back to downward facing dog. We take the left leg to the sky. Pausing here. Left knee to left elbow comes to the outside into our plank. And then back to center. And back. Three-legged dog. Cross it over to the other side. And back. So left leg is going to come through and forward into our warrior one. So inhaling, taking hands overhead. Exhaling, coming into our goalpost arms. Lift that heart center. I also like to call these the cactus arms, but the saguaro arms would look more like that, right? You can think of that beautiful sunny day, desert, dry, warm. Humble warrior, we take those hands, just reach them around, palms facing down, airplane with the upper body. So we're gazing just ahead of the front toe. And as we're ready, release the hands toward the earth, lifting the back leg, standing splits. Knee to knee flow. We touch our knees together 3 times, bend deeply, and then extend. 2 more. Last one. And then the legs are extended, one toward the sky, one on the earth. Option to lift the heel, come onto the ball of the foot. Releasing, we'll make our way back to downward face over to our warrior one, and then downward facing dog. We have the options to stay here or to flow. We can choose to come forward to our kneeling or full plank. Exhale to our crocodile, upward facing dog or cobra, and back to our downward facing dog. We can do that 1 or 2 more times. The choice is ours. We can always come forward to our kneeling plank, lower with our elbows by our sides to crocodile and cobra, and then slowly back. We can always find our way to child's pose or downward facing dog. Last one, come on forward to our plank of choice. Exhale to our crocodile, cobra, or upward facing dog. And then returning to downward facing dog. We're holding here, feeling that length and that extension. Letting go of heaviness or inertia. We're going to start to gaze toward the thumbs. When we're ready, we can step, hop, or float lightly to a forward fold. And let's lift a monkey halfway up. Releasing to a forward fold. And then let's go ahead and inhale, rise it all the way up. And hands to heart center. So we're going to come into a balancing chair. So with hands at heart center, we can sink those hips back. looking for that missing chair behind us. And we've been doing some balancing work to keep us light and lifted. Let's go ahead and lift those heels. Now, if we have too much strength and we need more flexibility in the calves, go ahead and sink the heels. But for today, let's just think of our balancing chair as lightness. Think of ourselves as the balloon on the end of that tethered string. Finding mobility, movement. As we sink those heels, inhale, rise it on up to the sky. Forward folding, exhaling. This time, monkey pose, hands to those shins, pause here with a little bend in those knees. Options to come into airplane. So hands reach back, palm facing down, fingertips reaching away from the opposite direction of our head, crown reaching forward. We're keeping our energy moving and flowing. As we release to a forward fold, stepping back for downward facing dog. Right leg reaches toward the sky. Let's bend the knee, stack the hips. We'd like to gaze over that left shoulder to the right toes. That's great. We can always just stay balanced. We can have both feet on the ground. That's great. Twisting plank 3 times. So we come forward, twist, and then back. 2 more times at our own pace. Remember, there's always an option to stay in one variation or child's pose. We'll find our way to warrior 1. So that right leg comes through and forward, back heel to the earth, and inhale, rise it on up to the sky. Chest expansion here. We can interlace the hands. If our hands are not meeting, we can hold a strap or we can hold a block behind the chest, or even just having palms toward each other. Lifting the heart center there. An option for humble warrior. Chest toward that thigh. As if someone's pulling on our hands, reaching us back up. Lifting the hands overhead, opening for warrior 2. Let's draw the hips underneath us. And hands to hips. Thinking of everything from our hips up toward the sky, rising and floating. Let's start to lengthen those legs. And exhale. 2 more. Lengthen. And exhale. Last one. As we sink into those legs, option to lift that front heel. We can stay here. We can hold the hands, the elbows behind our back. As we sink into that front heel, inhaling hands overhead, straighten the front leg. We'll come into triangle. One hand to that shin, to the thigh, or to a block. Let's bring our attention to that top hand as if it's getting pulled and lifted skyward. Our hips are reaching back, even between both feet. We're imagining as if we're being up against the wall. We could have our hips, our ankles, the back of the shoulders, the back of that lifted hand, the head. Last breath here. And let's cartwheel the hands, frame that front foot, and step it back for downward facing dog. Let's inhale forward to a plank, and then slowly lower. Crocodile, upward facing dog, and back to our downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here. bring into our mind our heart chakra, Anahata, the center of the chest, the color of green. Imagine thinking of all the organs that reside around this area, our heart, our lungs, the thymus, supporting our immune system, the lymph nodes up into the arms, breathing here. Left leg toward the sky. We can bend the knee, stack our hips. We can start to gaze over that right shoulder toward the toes. Option to flow or stay here or child's pose. Come forward into that twisting plank. We bring that knee to the opposite elbow and return 2 more times. Into a long warrior 1. So I'm just turning around here. Chest expansion. Leaning forward into our humble warrior. Let's inhale, rise those hands overhead, opening for warrior 2. With our hands on our hips, we'll rise and lower with that front leg, lifting long and lengthened, and return. Last 2. We can stay here. We can take our hands behind our back. We can hold our elbows. You can even take palms together as an option, lifting the front heel. Gazing over that front knee, forward. Checking in with our deep diaphragmatic breath. Maybe we return to that Ujjayi breath if we've lost it. That warmth retained within the body as we breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Sinking into that front heel. Inhale, rising hands overhead, lengthening. And triangle. Reach forward. The back hand reaches toward the sky. If we're taking care of a shoulder, we can always take our hand on our hip. You can always take the block on the inside of that foot or have hand on thigh. Imagine ourselves as if we're pressed between 2 sheets of glass. Or maybe we're a piece of bread in the toaster, not wanting to touch each side of the toaster itself. Last breath here. And then releasing. Let's frame that front foot and step it on forward. Forward fold. Inhale, rise it to the sky. And we've got balancing chair flow. Exhale, circle sweeping those hands, lifting those heels. Sink into those heels. Inhale, lift. 2 more. You can always take hands at heart center or hands on thighs. Let's inhale, rise it on up. Exhaling, forward folding. Halfway up to monkey. Ardha Uttanasana, gazing at the earth, staying here, feeling long and lengthened through the neck and the shoulders, shoulder blades squeeze back. Options to come into airplane, hands reach it back. Flying through the air. And then releasing to a forward fold. Let's step, hop, or float back to a plank and holding here. Build a little bit of heat as we hold. I know we can have all the weight into our arms and power through this, but let's think of activating the core and think of lightness within the pose itself. Thinking about 2 inches below the belly button drifts us to the sky for downward facing dog. Right leg lifts toward the sky. Holding here, lifting the left heel upward and then sinking it down. Focusing on the inhale, we lift the heel and pause, but not pausing the breath. Let's sweep the right leg through and forward. And then we'll make our way to warrior two. So cartwheeling those hands, opening on up. Here we go. Reverse warrior to side angle. Reverse warrior. Legs stay strong here. But light as we flow. Staying in our side angle. Holding here. Maybe we take that hand off the knee, reach it just to the side, and then return it. Coming into half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. So we can grab the block if we'd like, transition it just ahead, about a foot ahead of these toes, and then lifting the back leg. Now we can have the hand on the earth. Can always be up against the wall. Feeling that energy flowing from the crown of the head to the heel, and then from hand to hand. The back toes are pointed toward the side. Toes are flexed toward the shin. As we release, we're coming into reverse warrior. So gently and lightly placing the back foot onto the earth with control. Reverse warrior. Let's cartwheel the hands, frame that front foot. Stepping back for downward facing dog. Pausing here. Left leg to the sky. Holding. Let's lift and lower the heel of the right foot. Taking the right foot, inhale, lifting, and exhaling. Last one, inhaling, pausing, thinking of that lightness of the movement. And a long warrior two. So take our time to come forward into warrior two, cartwheeling those hands up. Reverse warrior. Into side angle flow. Into our side angle, we hold here. As we move into half moon, we can stay here. We can also lift off just a little bit, come back, and then, if you'd like, grab that block, place it ahead of those toes, and then lengthening, rotating our hips. Top hand can be on the hip, or can be reaching toward the sky. Take our time to be here if we'd like, and then adjusting slowly with control into reverse warrior. So that back heel gently comes to the earth, and then reverse warrior. Let's cartwheel the hands, frame that front foot, step it on forward, forward fold. Inhale, rise it toward the sky. Chair with the heels lifting as a balance chair. Inhale, rise it on up. Two more, exhale. Inhale. option this time to lift the hands behind the back. We can hold those elbows. Imagine ourselves as a hummingbird, perhaps, flighting, moving, light, and release. On a beautiful summer's day, we release to a forward fold. Nod the head from side to side, let it go if we'd like. If we find ourselves too warm, always can exhale through an open mouth. We're working to keep that heat within us though. Warrior 3 with options. So we'll do standing splits first. We can always take our hands to the block if we'd like. Right leg extends back. You can stay here or taking those hands out by the side, lifting into Warrior 3. Hands can be also at heart center or finding those cactus arms or the goalpost arms by the side, the bent elbow. Taking the hands at heart center, mountain. Thinking of the tips of the mountains that have they're almost in the sky. As we exhale to a forward fold, coming to the other side. So it kicks that left leg back. We could stay here. We can always find our hands by our sides at heart center or finding our arms bent by the side for a W, or those cactus arms, goalpost arms. And hands to heart center as we rise to mountain. And shake it out here. Coming into dancer pose. We'll take that right hand back, hook to the inside of that ankle. Squeeze the knees toward each other. Shoulders and hips in the same direction. And then left hand reaches forward. Maybe this is where we stay, or if we'd like, we can lean forward, lifting that heel toward the sky. Pushing that heel into the hand and also driving the other hand forward helps to balance us. It's like a counterbalance. And we release as we're ready. Coming to the other side, so we take the left hand back, thumb up, reaching to the inside of that ankle. And we can take it forward or stay here. So what feels best to us here? Letting go of any heaviness in the body or the mind. Like clearing out the cobwebs, if you will. And then taking our time to release. And shake it out. Beautiful. Back to mountain. Inhale, taking the hands overhead. Exhaling, forward folding. Let the head be heavy. Surrendering. But also feel that sway in the body. Like that balloon tethered to the string. Swaying. And then stepping back so that we come to those knees. If we need a little padding underneath our knees, we can always fold that mat back and come onto it. We're doing our camel. So we can have the feet onto the earth, or we can tuck those toes. Inhaling, lengthening toward the sky with the hands, fists. Come onto the bony part of our hips, not into our lower back. Squeeze those elbows toward each other as we broaden through the chest. And we can start to gaze up a little or gaze forward, broadening across the chest, squeezing those shoulder blades back. The breath should be easy. We should feel stable. Stretching across the upper chest, the heart center. Maybe imagining that color of green for Anahata. And then slowly releasing. Hands underneath our forehead. If our knees were on a doubled mat, let's take that back out. We'll find our way to boat pose. So take those hands behind those knees. We'll sink back with our spine to lengthen, so we have a V-like position from knee to hip, hip to knee, or to shoulder. You can stay here. You can slowly float or float. Hands out. And seated chest expansion. We take the hands by our hips, cross one ankle over, lift the chest. Feel a stretch into that outer hip. As we release back into Boat Navasana, hands behind those knees. Maybe those feet stay on the ground. Maybe they're lifted this time. Maybe they're extended. Maybe the hands are up by the side. That heart expansion, seated pigeon, crossing the other ankle over that thigh, lift the heart center. As we release, easy seated pose, we'll cross those ankles for some right nostril breath. So we've been here before. So let's take our pointer finger and our middle finger to the brow center, or we can collapse it down for Vishnu Mudra, which is basically taking those two fingers by the base of the thumb and extending the other fingers. When we're ready, right nostril breath, closing off the left, inhaling through the right. Closing off the right, exhaling through the left. Rocking the hands, finding what works for us, inhaling through the right. Closing off the right, exhaling through the left. 3 more times at our own pace, inhaling through the right. When we're ready, closing off the right, exhaling. Inhaling through the right, closing off the right, exhaling. Last round. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling nice and warm. Let's go ahead and find our way to coming down to all fours. So we'll rock over to all fours. And then lowering to our belly. So we have our options to come into locust and half bow or full bow. So what's in our practice? So at first, let's take those hands back, palms face down, and lift the torso as an option to lift those legs, locust pose. Now, if this is comfortable and we'd like to do half bow, we take the right hand forward in alignment with the front edge of the mat, reach back for that ankle and lift, just like we did in dancer pose. So we can stay here. If full bow is in our practice, feel free to go for that, where we grab both ankles. We'll be doing this twice, so don't worry. If we're in half bow, we'll do the other side in just a moment. If we're in locust or full bow, just be doing this position again. As we release, rest the head to one side, breathing. Returning back to locust, hands reach back, palms facing down, lifting the legs, or half bow, left hand in front edge with the mat. And then the right hand around the right ankle. Now, if we're not grabbing the ankle, that's fine to have a strap or just reaching toward it. Option to have both hands at both ankles, toes toward the shin. We feel openness and the lifting. As we release, let the head fall to the other side. Let's rock those hips a little side to side, swaying through the body. In hands like push-up-like position, we'll press ourselves back to child's pose. Let's go with a wide knee child's as we sit back, but then extend those hands all the way forward. Our forehead may be on the earth, or we may use a block underneath it. But feel that extension through the body, especially through that upper back as the hands are reaching forward, palms are on the earth, fingers are spread wide. As we breathe in, yes, we bring the breath into the belly, but think of that expanse through that upper back, the front of the heart, that chest, out wide into the ribs, the upper ribs especially. So inhale. As we exhale, any tension, tightness dissolves, any heaviness melts and dissipates like a cloud dispersing in the sky. As we use our hands to help ourselves up, we'll come onto our backs. So turning around, letting those legs come to the side. We have bridge with our Ujjayi breath. So let's take our hands behind those legs, knees to chest. Soles of the feet to the earth. As we lift those hips up to the sky, we're coming to the outer shoulders. Roll one shoulder under and then the other, interlacing the hands behind the back. Or we could even hold a block but with our hands if we'd like, for chest expansion here. Let's stay here, feeling the lift, focusing on lifting through the heart and the hips, and then an Ujjayi breath here. So it's that whisper breath or that ocean breath, that inhale, and that exhale where we hear the sound of that ocean to ourselves. As we release those hands, slowly releasing all the way down, knees to chest. So we have some options here. We can return back to our bridge, or if we'd like, if our handstand or L handstand is in our practice, let's find our way to that. So with our L handstand, we come onto the wall we first measure a little bit about foot, like from our hips to our feet away. So where the ends of our feet are is a good place for us to be. So we'll take our hands to that area. We may have to adjust depending, because leg length and torso length might be different for everybody. So remembering, if we're not doing this option or a handstand on the wall, we could be in our bridge pose once again. Lifting up to downward facing dog. And then as we're ready, we kick those legs up onto the wall and then starting to press out with those feet so that we can create an L. Strength through those arms, but invigorating us. We can always take one leg up to the sky if we'd like. You can always switch legs. And then as we're ready, when we come out, then we come down to our shins, resting into child's pose. So if we were in bridge, just knees to chest. For in any variation of our handstand, and we find our way to child's pose. As we turn onto our backs, we find our way to resting on our back. Apanasana, we can take our Ananda Balasana, happy baby, soles of the feet to the sky. And then we'll play with one leg extends, and then the other leg extends. Let's do that a few more times. Extending one leg, and then the other. You can always hold around the ankles or behind the thighs. And then Matsyasana, or fish pose. We can keep the knees bent. We'll take a little diamond underneath our hands. So we'll lift our hips. One hand faces down, then the other one. Squeeze those elbows in. We lift the chest toward the sky. I'm going to make sure I'm not kicking over a water bottle here. Gaze at the toes where we extend those legs. Staying here. Or we can lift one leg. We can switch legs if it's extended. The other leg can lift, or we can find both lifting. To come out, we lower the legs, chin toward chest, and then releasing down. Let's broaden the knees back into the chest just to release. We're finding our way to a quick Shavasana. Extend those legs. Arms out by our sides. Palms toward the sky. Feet start to open up wider than our hips. As we inhale, let's imagine the breath filling the body from our fingers to our toes to every space in between, as if we're so light on the earth, could almost drift up to the sky. And as we exhale, like a feather, we settle back to the earth, safely drifting lightly to the mat. That inhale, imagining ourselves float lightly to the sky on a beautiful sunny day. On the exhale, slowly releasing like a feather, returning to the earth ever so lightly. Holding here. Be offering a guided meditation. We could let that resonate, or we could just think of our body as breathing itself. This guided meditation is called Floating Balloons. connecting to our breath, feeling that inhalation in our belly expands. We exhale, our belly relaxes. Imagining the body as a balloon inflating and deflating with each and every breath. Observing as we breathe in through the nose and we breathe out through the nose. Let's slow down this balloon filling process, matching the inhale and the exhale. Now, every time that we inhale, starting to imagine a balloon filling overhead with helium. As we exhale, the balloon gets tied with a string. And every breath creates another balloon. And breath by breath, we start to accumulate a bouquet of balloons overhead. We can start to imagine the different colors of these balloons. Are they red, orange, yellow? Or are they light blue, green, or indigo, violet, or even a beautiful bright white? Being completely surrounded by a huge, colorful bouquet of balloons, breath by breath. Imagine holding on to the strings in our hands. Soon we start to feel the body lifting off of the earth, feeling light, so light that we drift serenely up into the sky. Imagining the sky, the shade of the lightest pale blue, with soft sunlight sifting through the clouds. Rays of sun peek through the clouds, piercing. Feeling the warmth of the day. Feeling light and peaceful, we enter the expanse above us, drifting, reaching the perfect height in the sky. While we're here floating and observing our quiet and calm surroundings. When we've taken our fill, we start to let loose of one balloon at a time, safely, gently, breath by breath, releasing the next balloon and the next to descend back lightly to the earth. We touch back to the ground, light as a feather. We feel a sense of rest coming over the body. Warm, energized, yet peaceful. We start to wiggle some fingers, some toes, finding some movement into the body once again. And bring the knees to our chest. As we roll to the side, we can help ourselves up to a seated position. We'll find the mudra of fire, of warmth. So with the right hand, we make a little flame like a 7-Up, like that game 7-Up with the thumb up. We take the left hand as a base underneath it. So we're resting the right hand with the thumb up, fingers curled in, on top of the left upturned palm. Here it looks like a light. We can close our eyes, having this flame right at the center of the body. We can imagine our hands looking like that candle and the flame. We'll repeat silently to ourselves an affirmation or a mantra. Our affirmation could be, I am light, I am clear, I am bright. Or if we'd like, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Which just means transformation, illumination. Thinking of this beautiful tejas, this radiant flame within ourselves. Repeating our affirmation or our mantra. As we release our hands, let's complete our practice with our Surya Beta, our right nostril breath or solar breath. As we've done this before a couple of times in our practice, we close off the left nostril, inhale through the right. Closing off the right, exhaling through the left. Closing off the left, inhaling through the right. Closing off the right, exhaling through the left. 3 more times at our own pace. Releasing our hands. You can always take a drop of our frankincense and myrrh or amber or any other warming oil, placing it into our hands. Placing it over, cupping the face, over the nose so we can breathe in and breathe out. Let's take our hands at heart center, Anjali Mudra, of reverence to ourselves and to others, this deep sense of gratitude. Thank you so much for letting me guide us through the practice today. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Namaste.